felt inclined today to make this video for a couple of different reasons. I feel like there are many of my family members and my friends that right now are just on the brink of being able to realize the importance of leaving their materialistic addictions behind and starting to focus on their own personal development. And I'm saying this because it's also become very true and evident to me in my life. I've noticed over the course of the last few years that I have gravitated away from my almost suicidal plunge into materialism that seemed to allow my spirituality and my relationships with the people that were important to me and everything that was me kind of began to fade into nothingness in my headlong dive into having as many worthless things that I could call my own around me as humanly possible. Lucky for me, I had some things happen in my life, some life-changing experiences, namely the loss of a job, the loss of a girlfriend that I'd been with for a long time, loss of relationships with some people that I thought would be there for a very long time. All these things kind of happened one after another, and it forced me in a position to kind of reevaluate who I was, what I had become, and what was important to me, and what I wanted to continue to spend my energy on in my own life. And I found that 99.9% of the things that I was focusing on when all these things took place were or existed outside of myself, I guess is the best way I could explain it. There was no real spiritual existence in my life, or I didn't exist in a very spiritual perspective to myself for a very long time. And it was kind of like one of those situations where I felt like an animal kind of cornered by the hunter, and I decided to start fighting back. And I started with just informing other people, because when you inform and teach others, you learn yourself, or you kind of reaffirm things that you thought you knew or thought you had the right perspective on, so to speak. But very recently I've started to see things from a different perspective, and it really rings true in my mind. I don't believe that myself and the majority of my family and my friends are focusing on the most important thing that they could be focusing on right now. I realize that it's cool and it makes you feel good to have a full-time job and to be busting your ass and making all that money and putting it in savings accounts and thinking about the new things that you can buy, whether it be a home or a nice flashy new car with a loud revving engine and a great stereo system, or maybe a motorcycle, or the newest MacBook Air, or any of those different things. But the question I have put to myself, and I also want to put to you, is that are those material items worth the amount of time that we're spending saving to have those material items? Because we have to remember one thing: every ounce of energy that we spend on saving or working for these material items takes time away from other areas in our life. In my life, those areas that I have taken away from are my own personal spiritual development. I found that every ounce of energy that I spent working and trying to get promoted at my job and trying to look great for my employer to make more money, also in those agreements, when your employer finally does give you those promotions and finally does give you more money, it's not a donation. You definitely are asked for more. They ask of more of your time, and I find that time right now, here in this physical plane that we exist on right now, is the most precious thing that we have as human beings. And the more that we devote our time toward things that don't involve becoming or working on our own spiritual development, the further we get from the answer to what will ultimately make us truly comfortable and ultimately be who we end up being or who we need to be. I am not my car, I am not my house, I am not my laptop, I am not my motorcycle, and none of those things are me. Those things that you could own or do own are not who you are. Who you are as a human being and who I am as a human being is what is inside me. What I see when I close my eyes. What I show others in my actions. What I focus my thoughts on. What I see when I sleep. That is who I am. And that is who I'm going to be when I leave this world. I'm not going to be I don't want to be my car, my house, my motorcycle, my laptop, my phone, my camera, my video game, any of those things. I want to be who I need to be for the next chapter in my existence. Now, the best argument that I've found on not focusing so heavily on the materialistic perspective is based on an idea that I can't help but embrace. And it's the idea that, am I even who you see in front of you? Am I who I see in the mirror? Am I the physical representation of what I see in this video? Or am I bigger than that? Am I my consciousness? Then if I am my consciousness, is who I am inevitably able to evolve infinitely into multiple different combinations that have absolutely nothing to do with what or who the person is that you see before you? Is my physical existence that I'm able to feel, touch, taste, breathe, smell, is this physical existence all that is, or is it just all that is because of what my senses tell me it is? And if my physicality is purely just a fraction of who I truly am in regards to my consciousness, then where should I be focusing most of my energy? On this physical reality and what I want others to physically see me as? Or do I want to focus it more on my consciousness and becoming who I want to be past this chapter in my development as a human being? That epiphany in itself has pushed me into a direction that makes it obvious what I should be focusing on. Because think about it, the necessities is really all you need once you get to that perspective. I only need to be able to feed myself. I only need to be able to put a roof over my head. I only need to be able to pay the most basic bills so that I have more time to focus on spiritual development, on personal development, on finding out what it is that makes Rich who he is, because I refuse to believe that I am nothing more than a culmination of the things that I buy and own. It is not who I am. I am not going to be the guy that lives in the big house. I don't want to be that guy. Or I don't want to be the guy that drives that nice Mercedes-Benz. I don't want to be that guy. Because that guy disappears at death. And I think this transcends religion. I think it transcends belief. I think that this ultimately is everything that we should, as human beings, as a society full of human beings, should ultimately come to the realization of. And I realize and recognize that I only have come to this conclusion because I've had everything stripped from me. Everything. Everything but who I truly am. And that's my spirituality, my consciousness, who I am inside. I am exactly who I need to be right now, regardless of what I own. I can be a good guy, I can be a good teacher, a good father, I can be a good friend without any of those things. And what is important, feeding my ego or being a good friend? Is it more important that I feel accomplished because I can rev my engine, pump the bass out of my speakers, and fly down the street screeching my tires? Or is it more important that I can sit across from another person and share, and that we would all work together to help elevate each other's consciousness to a point where this materialistic society, this minuscule instant in the infinity of what is inevitably going to be our existence, that we all realize that it's so futile, that it doesn't even matter. It's ridiculous. It doesn't matter so much, it's almost laughable once you realize what's important. I think that I can, and you can, leave a fingerprint on this earth for other people that will last forever if we are able to make this breakthrough and able to separate ourselves from the material search for ownership of things. We can't even articulate exactly why we think the way we think, but we know that we want things that we want. Why don't we focus more of our time on why we think the way we think? Why don't we focus more time on why we believe in what we believe in? Well, I know why we don't. Because, my spiritual search doesn't give me a paycheck at the end of the week for me to go and pay my car note, for me to go and pay my mortgage, for me to go and buy that jewelry, for me to go and buy the newest video game. But in reality, you don't need any of those things. You need none of them. I feel like right now, here in 2012, there's, and I hate to use a phrase that's been beaten to death over the course of the last few years, but I feel like there's an awakening going on, and that it's waiting for us. I feel the anticipation inside of a breakthrough for all of us collectively. And I just pray that there are enough people out there that are willing to break free of the restraints of materialism and of the robotic zombie-like march toward ownership of garbage. Because that's all it is. It's just garbage. And I feel right now that this awakening is going to happen soon. I feel like if we could just get the handle of it now and spread the information like wildfire and help people feel the passion about realizing that our infinite conscious reality is at our fingertips, that we're about to break free of this limited reality contained within our physical bodies. We're about to break free of that, like a butterfly leaving a cocoon, and to realize our unlimited potential, our unlimited consciousness, the unity consciousness that connects all of us. We're that close, we're this close. It's right there. Help others see the veil disappear from our eyes. Spread the information necessary for people to see things for what they are. There are beings, entities, people on this planet that want nothing more than to keep you enslaved to your materialistic perspectives, because they themselves refuse to believe that there is anything more than the existence that you see right in front of you physically on this earth. Don't let them decide for you who you end up being. Become who you're meant to be, all on your own. It's your responsibility. Don't let nobody do it for you. To be aware is to be alive. Love and peace.